Good morning from Silicon Valley. This is Marco Marinucci, CEO of Mind the Bridge. Today is an important moment for our company. Today we are launching the first phase of the MTB Ecosystem platform, an AI-powered platform that enables business matching for startups and corporations and portfolio promotion for innovation agencies and investors. So the agenda of the day would be the following. We'll talk and give a quick introduction of how's this AI power platform got together, what is the focus and the some of the functionalities. We're going to have a quick demo about the platform, and then we'll have the pleasure to have a short panel with some of what we call the launch partners. So some of the key partners, ecosystem partners that have joined the platform, and we'll have a discussion about their focus and their expectation on the use of the platform to make their operations more effective. So a couple of words about ourselves, how we got here. As an entity, we've been in the business of interacting with the startups and the corporates, in fact, with the connection of the startups and corporates for the last 15 years. Just to give some numbers, we do on a daily basis, on a yearly basis, we go deep in the engagement of more than 5,000 startups, and we deal and support hundreds of large corporates. So those are typically the Fortune 500, Forbes 2000 corporates. And as an active investors, we would also have a wide range of partners in the world of investment. We deal with all different markets of innovation. So really from automotive to fintech to circular economy, decarbonization, energy, and so on and so forth. So we're vertical agnostic in our support of integration of corporates and startups. And while our main offices are here in Silicon Valley, in San Francisco, in fact, where we host also a few outposts of antennas and a number of the startups and scale-ups, our focus is very international by nature, also here in the bridge in our name. So we've been dealing with many countries in activities in bridging also the opportunities with different regions as well. In our activities, as I said before, we always have had two main pillars. One is the support of corporates in what we call their support in their innovation challenges. So we have dozens of dedicated innovation advisors that on a constant base are constantly looking for solutions among the more mature startups for the very specific innovation challenges. Those innovation challenges typically are run and pushed from two areas of corporates. One is the innovation departments that typically also serves as a service with all the different business units. They define very specific searches of technology they are looking for. And sometimes rather than the innovation department is also the CVC, the corporate venture capital side of the venture and all the corporates. And so what we've been doing in the last at least 10 years is to run this matching and these activities of scouting specifically for several hundreds of corporates. One of the ways that we concentrate this marketplace historically has been also physically or digitally through recurrent summits that bring together this filtering between the corporates and the startups. So this is just a few, if you see here on the screen, a few examples of some of the summits that we're hosting still this week in Menna. That's where also this launch is hosted. That will be in Barcelona, then in South Korea, in San Francisco, and in London by the end of the year. So that is a marketplace we've been keeping alive, again, specifically with the specific search for different corporates. On the other side, for even more time, we've been supporting the go-to-market strategy and the internationalizations of hundreds of startups. Typically, those are programs that are supported and sponsored by government agency organizations that have an interest to promote a subset of their most interesting startups in their go-to-market strategy, in their internationalization, in their scaling activities. And here you can see some of the partners that we have supported along our path. They represent, again, in support of more than 600 companies. They went on raising more than $6 billion, many IPOs. So really the focus is always been the support in the scaling phase at the international level. Now, the interesting part, and that's how this platform that we're launching got together, is also to respond at a very timely issue that we see more and more in the market. That is the ability for different regions, different countries, sometimes different cities, to be seen as an interesting hub for innovation. And so that's something that we've seen changing and accelerating in the last few years, even more through the pandemic, where there's much more flexibility for talent, especially if it's technically skilled, to be working from pretty much everywhere. And so this race of being able to attract the most interesting startups in one region versus another is becoming a very noisy communication to have. And so what we think is very important these days is to be able for different regions around the world to be more sophisticated in the way that they are approaching the market, and they nurture their best startups and the way they promote it internationally. And also if there are inbounds interests, so the ability to attract the most interesting entities, sometimes are startups, sometimes are corporates, for the most part is investment that is interesting to attract in the whole region. So rather than try to shout louder than others, we think that the needs of tools that are more sophisticated, that are more aggressive to certain extent, so able to segment the market in a way that is trackable and more effective, we think is really at the core of the need. And that's what we think that the platform that we built over the last few years is really focused on. So what is the platform? We're going to see real quick a quick presentation about it. But in a nutshell, this is the result of years of activities that we have put together initially for our corporate clients. So on one side, we've gathered the database and the what we call the database of innovation challenges. So really the definition in digital format of several specific area of research that corporates have in place today. And they're looking typically at a global level at solutions that can be integrated, invested in, or sometimes even acquired. So our workflow that we've been managing for a period of time for every single client of ours is being put into digital format. And so that's something that we're poured our intelligence from our innovation advisors into something that has become digital and digitized for the first time. On the other side, our ability and history of tracking thousands of startups and scale-ups even more. So entities are a little bit more, startups are a little bit more mature, with not just the information about the categorization, the funding, the description, but also with the ability to have what we call premium data. So typically pitch decks and the contact information is something that we're created along the history of our company, sometimes exposed to a report that we publish. But at the nutshell, this is a proprietary database that we put together. Now, the interesting thing about these two elements, and now we put them together. And so the ability of matching the best, most interesting, most relevant startups with a specific innovation challenge from a corporate is something that is finally being supported by an AI platform. And so the semantic of what a startup is doing versus what a corporate is searching is now being trained in the best matching possible with an AI platform. And that is the kind of the digitization of the scale-up summits, or the ability to match the two sides of a marketplace in a way that is without borders and without a specific time. And so that's basically what our Mind the Bridge and MTB Ecosystem platform is all about. The elements and the players and the actors in these platforms are different, but we do think that in particular, what we call the ecosystem partners, regional partners that have a specific embedded interest in promoting on one side a subset of their startups, on the other side, potentially some programs that are running or some of the innovation challenge of some of the corporates that are in the region, really play a connective role between the two. Lastly, is in the same umbrella is also the place now where specific authoritative content that typically some of the regions have asked us to create by our MTB research group. And then typically that gets covered at the most relevant media outlets in innovation. That's also the place in the container where specific region can highlight areas and why they're different. Why is that interesting to go and invest specifically in that specific region of the world? So overall, that's become the container of a number of items that are supporting this marketplace. The players within the marketplace are different. We'll have definitely startups and scale-ups. We'll have the corporates with their own specific UI and ability to digitize and find specific solutions while digitizing their workflow of sharing information about the solutions. We'll have a specific space for investors, but today we're launching this part, really the area and the functionalities for what we call the innovation agencies, so the ecosystem partners, and then that's where we're gonna dive a little deeper. So with that said, first of all, let's run a quick demo, and then we'll open the panel with our partners.
Mind the Bridge has always been front and center in the open innovation arena, working with large corporates, startups, and government organizations at a global scale. In the past year, we focused our efforts on condensing all the expertise we built over the past 15 years of advisory services into a software product to deliver even more value to our clients. Today, we're really excited to launch our proprietary platform, an AI-powered marketplace to make innovation happen. We called it MTB Ecosystem. The platform is designed from the ground up with the aim of supporting government organizations to promote their regional ecosystem, innovation programs, and companies, while at the same time attracting business opportunities and talents globally. Let's now have a look how the platform works. Government organizations have a dedicated public profile page through which they can provide visibility to their activities to a larger qualified audience and consolidate their brand. On this page, ecosystem users will find general information about the organization, including relevant contact details. They can also learn more and apply to innovation programs. Or, on the other hand, they can explore the portfolio of supported companies. Finally, they can get access to research reports and insights commissioned by the organization on relevant topics. Government organizations have a dedicated dashboard to control and staying always updated to this wide range of innovation activities. From here, it is possible to create, edit, and launch innovation programs in the shape of public calls to attract the best companies and talent internationally to address the innovation needs of the regional ecosystem. At the same time, they can manage the entire portfolio of scale-ups and affiliated corporates and decide which companies to actively promote during each quarter. Finally, there is a section dedicated to performance metrics where organizations can monitor the progress of their campaigns and keep track of key results, such as the number of meetings between their portfolio scale-ups and corporate active on the platform. On the platform, scale-ups promoted by government organizations have a badge to show their affiliation, which is a mark of quality particularly relevant to corporates looking for solutions to their business challenges. At the same time, Promoted scale-ups have a dedicated account and ecosystem through which they can apply to hundreds of business challenges published by corporates. Based on the in-depth information we collect about these challenges in our backend, our AI engine is able to suggest to the startups the ones that are most fitting to their products and value proposition. When startup applies, they can also send tailored information to support their application, such as a brief statement of how they plan to solve the challenge, and also uploading material such as a customized pitch deck created ad hoc for the challenge. At any time, startups can modify their profile and keeping it updated, while creating a repository of non-public materials that they may want to share for corporate partnerships. Once the startup applies, the corporate who published the challenge will receive the application in their portfolio section with the label to be evaluated. Here, they can review the application, go through their pitch deck, and finally decide to request a meeting. Once the request is placed, the platform will notify the startup and share relevant contact information with both parts to organize the meeting. Contact us to get early access to MTB Ecosystem.
All right, very good. I think there was a good snapshot of what an ecosystem can do. Now, to start spicing up our conversation, we have the pleasure to have connected a few of our key launch partners that are, I think, a good representation of how global this platform is meant to be. So I'm going to call all of them here online. We have first of all, Ken Yoshida, Executive Director of JETRO from San Francisco. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, Marco. Hi.
Hi, welcome. And then going in the list that we have here on the screen, we have David Brown, a Trade Director, again from San Francisco, is working with Austrade from Australia. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Marco.
Good to see you. And then from the Middle East, we have an old friend here, Neda Aldaihani, a co-founder and CEO of Brilliant Labs. How are you doing, Neda?
Hi, Marco. How's everything? How are you?
Good to see you. I know that's getting late in the evening there. Then from, I believe, from Miami, we have Meritxell Garcia, international trade and investment consultant from the Catalonia Trade and Investment ACCIÓ. Hi, Mary.
Hi, good morning, Marco. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for joining. From South Korea, we have Peter Bae, that is a CEO and Executive Director of Korea Innovation Center, KEIC, in Silicon Valley, so based close to us. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Marco. Happy to be here.
Good to see you. Last but not least, from Europe, we have Federico Menna as the Head of Operations of EIT. That is connected. I'm not quite sure from where. I'm sure it is somewhere from Europe, probably Italy, right, Federico?
Hi, everyone. I'm Marco. Thanks from Brussels.
From Brussels. There we go. Yeah, makes sense. Actually, we spoke several times. I never asked you where are you based. All right, excellent. The idea in the next half hour is to learn a little bit more about yourself. I think you are all key relevant organizations representing very different ecosystems around the world, but with very similar, I think, activities at the core. That is typically to promote the best startups that come out of your region, and sometimes with some of you also to attract ventures, investment, and interesting scale-ups to your region as well. So the idea is really to go around the table. I'm going to maintain, I think, the same order, and to have just a few questions, and with the idea of then what you expect out of an AI supported platform to be more effective in what you do on a daily basis. So let's go first with a very quick presentation of each organizations. I mean, most of them I think are pretty well known for people working in the world of innovation. But let's start with JETRO. So Just a quick introduction, Ken, of what JETRO is, in particular, with the focus of what we call inbound and outbound
Okay.
activities.
Yeah. Sure. Our organization, JETRO, Japan External Trade Organization, we promote foreign direct investment into Japan, helping small and medium-sized Japanese firms maximize their global business potential. We have over 70 offices in the world and 6 offices in the United States. And our JETRO San Francisco office leads JETRO North America innovation activities to connect the Japanese startups to Silicon Valley ecosystem and other cities in North America. That is an overview of our organization. Thank you very much.
Perfect. And then we're going to ask a little bit more details about the activities. David, tell us about Austrade.
Thanks, Marco. Yeah, we are the Australian Trade and Investment Commission, or Austrade, and we're responsible for promoting Australian trade and investment and education to the world. So we help Australian businesses grow by linking them to global export opportunities. We attract international investment to help Australia reach its economic potential. We help startups innovate and go global. And we support tourism and the visitor economy to rebuild a thriving industry. And we also promote Australia's leading edge education services to the world. We have around 1,400 employees and over 80 offices around the world, multiple posts through North and South America. Me personally, I focus on supporting our outbound or trade work, and I manage our landing pad program here in San Francisco, which is a 3-month in-market immersion program to assist market-ready scale-ups land and expand in the US market.
Thanks. Thank you. And Neda, you're a slightly different organization. You're probably the only organization here that is private and not public. And
Yes.
by the way, I had a pleasure of knowing Neda for a very long time. And Brilliant Lab has been one of our key partners, in particular with a representation in the MENA world. So Neda, a few words about Brilliant Lab.
Thank you so much, Marco. Congratulations on this amazing product coming out from Mind the Bridge. I'm really not surprised. Mind the Bridge is always like bring an innovative solution, an innovative program into the rest of the world, let's say. About Brilliant Lab, it's a very boutique early stage investment acceleration company. And we do early stage investment and technology-based startups in the region here. Our partner in Brilliant Lab is Kuwait Finance House. Kuwait Finance House is the second largest Islamic bank in the world. The investment arm of Kuwait Finance House is $5 billion asset under management. And we are their arm of investing in early stage startup or acquiring startup or, partnering with the startup. We've been doing this for the last almost now 10 years. I've been to San Francisco and MTB office for almost 8 to 9 times. Every time we come to San Francisco, we come with a bunch of startups from our region. So far, we have exchanged almost like 100 founders from the region to Silicon Valley. And we have 3 exits since up to date. We have 3 exits from a technology startup. There, one based in Jordan, POS Rocket. Second one called Teskin, it's a prop tech company based in Kuwait. And the third one called Melto, it's based in Dubai, and it's eBay clone kind of business, but it operates in Dubai and the region. That's in a very nutshell.
Very good. Congrats on the exit. I wasn't aware of that.
Thank you.
So next, Mary, tell us about ACCIÓ.
ACCIÓ is a Catalonia trade and investment agency. We support the competitiveness of our corporation and businesses. Our region is Barcelona Great Area in the southern part of Europe. And we promote inbound and outbound business and also, of course, innovation. We have 40 offices around the world, and we have 5 offices in the US. And we are ranked by Boston Consulting Group the top 10 best cities in the world to come to work, and also for FDI markets, the best Southern European region for the future. We won this for 2020 and 2022. And what we do is we connect, we help, we train, we inspire, we accompany. That's what we do.
And we're pretty proud to actually have our main hub in Europe actually based out of Barcelona. I think I can testify
Happy to have you.
A very active ecosystem. Peter, how about KIC and KIC in particular in Silicon Valley?
Yes. So K Innovation Center is a relatively young organization, and we are subsidized by Korean government agencies that specifically focus on helping Korean technology-based startups launch their product service solutions here in North American and South American market. We are based in San Jose, and we have about, any given year, we have about 300 to 400 Korean American startups starting their business here in US. It is very exciting to actually be at this position because in the late 4 or 5 years, the last 4 or 5 years, Korean technology-based startups have shown that they can work not only in a Korean market and Asia market, but also in US and Europe market. And that's why I'm even more excited to be partnering with Mind the Bridge.
Very good, thank you. And we're excited as well. We've been working with Korea for quite some time, and we definitely see this improvement of quality and quantity. Very good. Last but not least, quick introduction of EIT. Federico, EIT has been one of our historical partner in a promotion of the best scale-ups from Europe, but give us a high-level introduction of what is EIT about.
Thank you, Marco. Yeah, EIT is the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. We are mostly operating out of Europe, and our objective is to strengthen Europe's competitiveness in a sustainable way, to increase growth and job creation, and also to connect players that are part of our ecosystem in the different part of the knowledge triangle, meaning education, innovation, and research. And specifically, we have an office in Silicon Valley that is your interface, and we use this office as a two-way bridge between Europe and the US to promote a mutual inflow of innovators and entrepreneurs from the Valley to Europe and from Europe to the Valley. And for us, the platform is a great opportunity because we help our most promising European scale-up accessing the US. And that's why we are very happy to be here today with you in the launch of the platform.
Yeah, and again, the idea of the platform is to pick and choose if you want regions, but the beauty of it is that just is global by nature, right? So once your startups are there, possibilities and of potential partners and corporates that are specifically looking for a solution are borderless. So that what makes also, I think, the extension, and you represent for that very reason, a good chunk of the world out there. So let me go a little bit more in your nitty-gritty of your daily activities and asking two related things. So one is today, how do you promote your programs in terms of recruitment or promoting your activities in general, or some of the startups that are part of a program, for example, and kind of related to that, how do you measure your success? So do you have specific KPIs in your activities, both in your outbound, so program to support the internationalization for startups, or also inbound? So let's start with JETRO that has, know for sure, both activities, both inbound and outbound. Ken.
Yes, thank you. For the first question, how do we promote our activities? But we use Facebook and also email magazine, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of those platforms to promote. And also seminars. We do lots of seminars around the world, and that's how we promote our activities. And about the KPI, to the investment to Japan, our KPI is to support around 1,000 companies projects, and each year 100 overseas companies to Japan. That is a KPI of inbound, and for outbound, for example, startups, around 400 startups we are supporting, and out of 400, around 30 companies, 30 startups we have to support and launch their business in overseas market.
And Ken, you're talking about JETRO as an institution with all their regions, not specifically with Silicon Valley, correct?
Not specifically Silicon Valley. In the startups in the Silicon Valley, around 300, and 10 to 20 companies to be successful in the Silicon Valley market. Yes.
Got it.
Every year, yeah.
So pretty big numbers. David, how about Austrade?
Yeah, thanks, Marco. Well, on the communication side for my program in particular, we rely a lot, like JETRO, on the usual digital channels. We also have a lot of digital content online that we push out and run webinars to build pipeline. Prior to COVID, we would also travel back to Australia and do road shows through the major innovation hubs down there. We also get a lot of good referrals from our alumni. That's probably the strongest way we get companies coming in, as well as our strategic partners in Australia, which may be state governments or innovation partners and corporate partners down in Australia. Once in the program, it's a little harder to sort of run the communications promotions in market to sort of support our companies here. But we run demo days and showcases. We attend conferences. We actually just got back from South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, where we had an Australia house and we featured a bunch of our Australian startups there. But finding the right audience in a huge market like the US is obviously really challenging, especially when we have such a diverse cohort of technologies being offered. We find that when you put a theme around it, that can be a little bit easier. But on the investment side, we take a very proactive approach with a lot of direct outreach to specific targets on the FDI side. And in terms of KPIs, we have a lot that we track, but the main, it all distills down to two main things, and that's job creation and export sales on the outbound or trade side. And for inbound investment, it's also job creation and the value of investment dollars going in. But we focus a lot on the quality of both the outbound and inbound outcomes and where that money's going and what type of jobs being created and that sort of thing. But just like JETRO, we also track how many companies we're servicing and bringing to market. But the main ones are around the job growth and transactions.
Very good. Neda, again, your organization is slightly different, is not government focused, so the job creation is something that probably is less of your interest, but still the question is the same. How do you track how do you communicate, how do you attract talent?
Absolutely. As you know, as you may know, Marco, like all our acceleration program, we never, as a lesson learned, we never launch a standalone program. All our last 10 years program, it's been in collaborative with telcos, banking industry here in Kuwait and in the region. As you may know, like we have our office in Kuwait, we have our office in Bahrain, we just opened a new office in Saudi. So we usually, one of the key success factor to our program is we don't do it standalone. So we have the famous program that we usually meet with you, Marco, with it, which is called Zain Great Idea. It belongs to one of the biggest telecommunication here in the region. And Zain, despite its telecommunication product, it's a media company. They have a very good relationship with all the media production, with all the media news agencies. So once we launch a program with them, we make sure that it's actually spread out the word there, and we do matching. We do actually calculating and tracking all about these media spreading the word for our program. That's when it comes to how do we communicate to our program. Regarding the second question, we really invest in early stage startups. Like we're talking about company that has 6 months to 1 month of operation, and this is like really tough stage to measure a success of company. So we had only one KPI, which is the number of investment round that these early startups doing is actually the more success we have in Brilliant Lab. So if we invest in company 6, 7 months, 1 year down the road, they do another investment round.
Follow-on
That's actually how we
investments.
measure it.
Follow-on investment, you're able to support.
Follow-up investment. Absolutely.
Yeah, so you're always in a search of co-investors in particular.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very good. And Mary, how about ACCIÓ in communication and KPIs?
So communication, we have a team that help us to promote. It's a very active team, and we use, of course, the digital platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter. We use webinars also, and of course, we use the congresses that we host in Barcelona, like Mobile World Congress, for example, or the Smart City Expo World Congress. And we use also the clusters. We are organized by cluster. We have more than 20 clusters in Catalonia. And so we use the clusters to promote all of our activities and, of course, the offices. Regarding KPIs, for the investment side, we have, of course, like all of you, the job creation, also the CapEx, and also the number of materialized projects yearly. And regarding innovation, we have the number of startups, the number of people, the growth of these startups, and also the number of unicorns. And also, for example, KPIs like how many startups are founded by women and how many workers are from abroad, or also how many startups are born with the internationalization chip. So, for example, we have like 73% of our startups have international clients from scratch.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how more and more regions, sometimes countries, see the counting as a KPI of a number of unicorns as one of the core measures and of what the local economy is producing. This is the case, for example, Peter, of South Korea, that has been using that measure, at the top level for quite some time, and that has created a number of supporting organizations like yourself to help with that very macro KPI.
Right, and like many of the teams that we have today here, we also obviously have our presence in the digital side. But one thing that we actually focus a lot is to work with venture capitalists and accelerators in Korea, and also vice versa, venture capitalists and accelerators here in US. Our job is less focusing on selecting a good potential startup that can really be successful in US. I think venture capitalists and accelerators and incubators might have a better way of doing that selection process. So we are more working with them so that we can focus our effort in actually supporting the needs that they have once they land here in US, and that's tied to our KPI. How well have you done with in supporting the companies? And it can be measured in a variety of ways, but investment, business activity, and also all the way to setting up cooperation in the country, in US. So those things are some of the KPIs that we follow. But it's a very, as all of you might have faced, it's a very a challenging task, because we want to help as many startups in quantity, but we all know that quality is also very important. And how can we assist companies that have really good result? And that's already a day in, day out challenge for us.
This is one of the key, I think, balance to strike, and will be in there, right? So there is quality, but also there's quantity. You need to create the opportunities for many. But then the success stories are the ones that are identifying an ecosystem as something of interest. And so we know that is how key that element is, to be able to bring real value and real success stories that can be repeated. Federico, EIT is representing probably the largest market here, because you are the supporting entity for the whole of Europe when it comes to innovation. So I suppose that your KPIs are pretty hefty. So tell us a little bit more about how do you promote, and how do you track?
Yeah. So when it comes to communication, I will probably repeat what has been said before. So we mostly use our digital channel, social media, website. Of course, in the pre-pandemic, we also had our events that were quite successful. We moved those online, but still, I think most of the promotion happens through the channels that I described before. But as you said, we represent a large market. We are a community, a large ecosystem. We have combining the various branches of the EIT. We have more than 2,000 partners representing corporate SMEs and research centers and innovation centers. So our network is probably the best instrument we have to promote our challenges. And that's what we actually do on top of the other channels. When it comes to KPIs, I think when we look outbound, of course, what we want is to create success for the companies that we support. So we look at the number of companies, but as it was said before, that's not only they are not only that important KPI, because we want to focus on quality. So sometimes we target maybe a lower number with a higher quality. The real challenge for us is scaling up those businesses more than creating them. So how to define the quality? Well, how many investors these companies can attract, the funds that they raise. And when we look also at the access to market, the corporate deals that they strike, the customers that they attract. So these are more the KPIs outbound. Inbound, as I said in the beginning, we want to promote growth for Europe, creating jobs. So we look at the companies that are moving to Europe, establish their headquarters there, and the jobs that they create, the value that they bring to the country or to the region where they move in. Yeah, and of course, we also look at the unicorns, as you said before. So that's very common KPIs these days.
Yeah, and again, I think very common KPIs, easier said than done. Then we've been all there to track, dozens and dozens of our startups to try to see how much in these KPIs they have advanced. And it's not an easy job, right? Because there's always a back and forth. And so hence, I think to some of the extent, the idea of this platform is to have some measurements, at least of the advancement of some of the business development that your startups, your portfolio companies is doing, as well as potentially track the interest to some of your programs that you are promoting, particularly if it's inbound. So that's kind of the expectation, and that's one of the reasons why we're pretty excited about the platform. So to conclude, because we have just 10 minutes to go, but why don't we go for the last round of questions? And the questions are, well, I guess first is what are your expectations of the use of this platform? Honestly, I think again there are a number of reasons why entities are using now the platform, and I think some angles might be differ. And by the way, what is happening today is as if officially the marketplace is open, and so the corporates can apply and try to connect to one of the startups there, and the other way around. So startups that are there connected to you guys can apply to be matched to a specific innovation challenge. And so that's officially the opening of the market. So question starting back to JETRO is what do you expect from the use of the platform, and
Yes.
kind of related to that, and to finish, describe what you think is the one reason, your unique value proposition of your region, that your region has to offer.
Yes. Okay, sure. But generally speaking, Japanese startups has, I think, great technology, but I think they can do much more, and they can succeed more in the Silicon Valley and the overseas market. But and to do that, I think this kind of MTB ecosystem platform will connect Japanese startups and other corporates. So if the Japanese startups will connect to the right partner, corporate, I think they can make the most of the technology. And I believe if they can connect to the right companies, they can be more successful. So I'm looking forward to this MTB ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. David.
Yeah, thanks, Marco. Well, we're hoping to really match, the innovative Australian companies that we have and the solutions they offer to opportunities in market, particularly here in the US, because we run a pretty lean organization for trade here in the Americas or in North America, and we're sector agnostic within advanced technologies. So it can be really hard for our small team to identify specific opportunities in such a huge market, and then match the companies with them. So that's sort of what we're focusing on with the platform. And in terms of Australia, in terms of innovation coming out of Australia, it's really, I think, the one thing I'd say is that we're a country that has grown up over the last 200 years doing a lot with a little. So there's a real scarcity, in Australia in a lot of things, in water, in capital, in pretty much everything you can imagine, except talent. We have an amazingly talented workforce, well-educated, English-speaking, well-positioned within Asia and the APAC region, and a lifestyle that's the envy of much of the world. So there are lots of reasons why, to do business in Australia, as well as to look at Australian companies coming out. You may not know, but Australia invented Wi-Fi, cochlear ear implant, lots and lots of things that we rely on every day. Plus, you can get 43 cents back in the dollar on all of your R&D spend, so that's a little nice kicker as well.
Wow, that's an interesting long list. You convinced me. Good pitch. Good job, David. Neda.
To be honest, Marco, like for us, first priority is we're looking for a legit and an absolute good networks, which is the platform will be providing to us. Second, when you go to the corporate side, you want to know like what corporate is buying what or investing in what or collaborating with what. It's very important with us to know what corporate is actually moving. From a startup point of view, it's the same. I want to know like which startup is collaborating or co-investment or co-partner with any corporates. These kind of information is really important for us as a digital transformation company. So knowledge, connection, also who's investing in what is key for us. And I think this platform is absolutely, since it's an AI, so it's a building block process, and we will reach there one day. In terms of the value proposition of our region here, our region is full of problems, but in a good way. Like, don't get me wrong, like full of problems. Like there is lots of area that need development. And I'm pretty sure that this kind of platform will pop up the area that the corporates part of this AI platform or the startups part of this AI platform, they will come and understand that they have an actual value proposition. So that's the only, to be honest, value proposition I can think that our region can offer the platform.
Very good. And then, as we say here, problems are opportunity for entrepreneurs. So,
absolutely.
Mary, your turn.
Regarding the expectations of the platform, we have four. So one is to promote the Catalonia innovation ecosystem. The other one would be foster collaboration between startups and international corporations. Then attract the most innovative startups to Catalonia, of course, and also looking forward to promoting our challenges. And regarding our value proposition, we think we are very strong in IT sector. So we have more than 15,000 corporations that are in IT with more than 16 billion revenues. So we are highly competitive with a big pool of talent, with good quality of life, with scientific facilities like synchrotron supercomputing, etc. So we think we are a hot innovation hub in Europe. That's our value proposition.
Very good. Sold. Peter.
So yes, one of my biggest expectation is obviously I'm looking forward for the platform to make my job a little bit easier. So I think that's goes for everybody. But one of my I'm really hoping that a lot of companies that come from South Korea, we are talking about space tech, we are talking about fashion tech, agriculture, bio, healthcare. I mean, the industry, the range of the spectrum of industry is so large that we are trying to make it as smart as possible to help them. But there's also obvious challenges that we are facing. And also we are talking about apps, we are talking about SaaS model, we're talking about hardware, software, foundry business, semiconductor equipment. So business-wise, business model-wise, and industry sector-wise, the sheer scope is so large. And that's why I think my biggest expectation and the cooperation point is there a better way to tackle this? Because there are the market demand is also very large and deep. So how can we put those two together and make a spark come out of it? So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Well said. Federico.
Yeah, let me start from the value proposition. So if I have to pick one, I would say we represent Europe. You said it before, a very large market, but not only large, I would also say diverse. So it offers opportunity for everyone. And also we have a strong technical background. So we have top researchers, top universities, and we bring all them together with entrepreneurs to bring solutions to the market. So I think this is pretty unique. When it comes to the platform, well, let me say that the platform will allow us to bring corporate and investor matchmaking to the next level. I mean, what now is done manually, it will be done through AI. So the potential is fantastic. I would also connect to what you said during your presentation. The pandemic showed that entrepreneurs and innovators can be everywhere, in a small corner of Southern Europe, as well as in Silicon Valley, in Korea, and all over the world. I think with the platform, we can have definitely a wider reach and spot innovation everywhere. So I would say that this is also an important element, and especially probably being in Europe, which is, as I said, so diverse, having possibility to access innovators and entrepreneurs in every small region through the platform would be a great added value.
Thank you, Federico. And let me just conclude here. I'm just, I think I'm in awe. This is just, I think, a testament of, is humbling to see how many opportunities are there in the world, and all your unique value proposition are really compelling. And I think it's humbling to be able to connect those opportunities in one platform that is the world. And hopefully this is gonna fulfill your expectation. And again, let me just conclude, say that we're really excited about this very moment. We're very proud of your trust in us as a partner and technological partner to do this, and we're looking forward to more successes. So this is the beginning. The idea is to also, throughout our Scale Up Summits, there are regular moments of a sharing of this global marketplace to see how those connected the ability to connect to the rest of the world are progressing. So thanks again. Thanks for your support. And let's open the marketplace and see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Congrats, guys. Bye-bye.